Dexter Morgan, charming Miami blood spatter expert by son, moonlights as a meticulous serial killer who only stalks murderers. The courts miss. Each abduction staged in a plastic-wrapped kill room, each body dumped to the ocean, a single blood slide tucked into his secret box, the icy code hammered into him by his dead adoptive cop father Harry. While inside headquarters, his sharp-tongued detective sister Deborah fumes at the ghost of favoritism she cannot name, never guessing those childhood hunting trips were clandestine lessons in human butchery. Dexter feeds his dark need while forensics chief Vince Masuka, lovelorn detective Angel Batista, ambitious Lieutenant Maria Luerta, and wary detective James Doss hunt a new butcher. The ice truck killer freezes and carves victims bloodless, slips inside Dexter's apartment to watch, then scatters childhood-linked limbs and resurrects Dexter's own buried prey, tightening a vice of memory and exposure. After rescuing the ice truck killer's surviving victim, the team learns the murderer favors throat lozenges. Dexter, masking his own emptiness, begins dating abuse-scarred single mom Rita. Her paroled ex Paul swears he's changed. But when his violence erupts, Rita bludgeons him with a bat, only to have Paul flip the assault into a custody bid. Rita's hunt for truth backs her ex's abuse claims. Deborah and Batista call her taxidermist Neil Perry, who confesses every murder, yet Captain Matthews steals the credit, enraging Luerta. Dexter first sulks that the legendary ice truck killer is just a sick soul, but one chat with Perry proves the man is a fraud, and the real artist of death still roams free, primed for a dark duel. While Dexter cleans his dead father's house, Rudy, wooing sister Deborah, kills chatty neighbor Irma, who recalls repairman. Rudy at the crime scene. The same night, police discover a hotel room drenched in the ice truck killer's drained blood, proving framed Neil Perry is innocent, and the crimson flood unlocks Dexter's repressed memory. At 3, he sat locked in a shipping container awash in his informant mother Laura's blood. Detective Harry Morgan adopts traumatized Dexter and shields him from his bloody past. Captain Matthews, enraged by Luerta's televised attack on the Neil Perry fiasco, strips her badge and installs Esme Pascal as Lieutenant Angel Batista. Chasing an amputee fetish theory, visits prosthetics maker Rudy, who, masked, slashes him and flees when strangers intervene. Rudy then sails fiancée Deborah into romance, proposes, but a tiny lozenge wrapper whispers the truth. He is the ice truck killer, so he silences her with a choke and readies her as Dexter unmasks gentle Rudy as Batista's blade-happy assailant, and as the ice truck killer, then sprints to shield Deborah from a death she never sees coming. Aguerta and Dos, burning for payback, race the same streets toward the same monster. Clues glitter like frost. Fled! Dexter hides his murderous truth behind a hero mask, but Season 2 pins him under Detective Doak's laser stare after he erases every trace of Brian's death. While Doak's shadow tightens, Dexter's dark hunger claws for release, and Deborah shatters from the horror of almost marrying the ice truck monster. Veteran profiler Frank Lundy arrives to hump the Bay Harbor butcher, sparking Dexter's dread of exposure. Deborah partners with Lundy, their chemistry igniting into romance, while she chases a killer she cannot see is Dexter. After Paul's prison murder, Rita confronts Dexter. He admits drugging Paul to exile him. She forgives him, swallows his fake addict tale, vows to save him, so Dexter starts Narcotics Anonymous, names his murderous thirst his dark passenger, and raw vulnerable finds unlikely acceptance in sponsor Laya. Dexter and Laya ignite a clandestine affair, After she praises the Bay Harbor butcher's lethal justice, hunting his mother's killer, he learns Laura Moser died for loving Harry Morgan, yet spares Santos Jimenez when Laya's sober words echo his own pain. She confesses, torching her abuser's house. He absolves her. Rita uncovers the betrayal and walks away. But Dexter refuses to vanish from the family he still longs to protect. While obsessive Laya torches her flat to nest beside Dexter, hitman Santos storms back. Blades bared, co-workers block the kill. Dexter saws the assassin to splinters, avenging Mom. Laya then slips inside Rita's home, rattling the kids. Dexter learns she unleashed Santos to bind him, so he bans her from the family. Rejected, Laya seduces Batista, cries assault, and offers silence for one dark price. While Lundy's hunch that Dose might be the Bay Harbor butcher sharpens Dexter's own fears, Dose slips into Dexter's apartment and discovers the hidden blood slides. The FBI, still convinced the butcher is Dose, raid his car, seize the slides, and brand him the killer, sending Dose fleeing with only La Huerta trusting him, racing to scrub the last traces. Dexter is cornered by the enraged detective, shot in the leg, overpowers Dose, chains him in a makeshift cell, then forges fresh evidence sealing Dose as the monster. Dexter corners Dose, hears the shocker that Harry's death was no heart attack, races to Matthews, confirms Harry swallowed pills over guilt for forging Dexter into a killer, slaughters a new target while Dose watches, flashes back to Harry watching him kill, understands he drove his father to suicide, vows to release Dose and surrender, grants himself one last perfect day with Rita and the kids before the cuffs click shut. Dexter prepares to confess to Deborah, but Laya murders Dose to keep the butcher's identity buried and claim Dexter for herself. With Dose as the scapegoat, Lundy closes the case and leaves Deborah's heart in limbo. Dexter rebuilds with Rita, sparking Laya's vengeful abduction of the children. He rescues them, slays Laya, and erases the last witness to his secret. Season 3 finds him back in rhythm, aiding Miami Metro by day, stalking a new killer by night. Dexter kills Oscar Prow while trying to murder drug dealer Freebo, violating his moral code. Oscar's brother, Assistant District Attorney Miguel Prow, joins forces with Dexter to hunt the killer. Unaware, Dexter is the culprit. Dexter later slays Freebo, is discovered by Miguel, claims self-defense, and Miguel, believing justice served, helps conceal the crime as Miami Metro, including Deborah, starts probing a new string of murders. Transferred detective Joey Quinn joins Deborah to hunt the Skinner, a killer tied to vanished Freebo, while Internal Affairs Sergeant Yuki secretly pressures Deborah to spy on Quinn. Deborah flips the script, tipping Quinn and freezing Yuki. Simultaneously, Rita's pregnancy rattles emotionally numb Dexter until he executes a neighborhood predator and, newly confident he can shield his child, proposes. Miguel confides in Dexter about an unpunished wife murderer. Dexter quietly eliminates the man, thrilling Miguel, who proposes a lethal partnership. While Deb spearheads the Skinner hunt with Anton's street intel, sparks fly, she hides their affair while Batista floats Anton as bait. Deb protests, but Anton is kidnapped and the Skinner unmasks as George King, the man Freebo owed. King first hunted Freebo's friends for cash, then for the kill. Deb and Quinn snatch Anton from the skinning table, but King slips away, leaving Anton the lone voice who can point to King, yet his love for Deb could silence him. Dexter sues Deb by confessing Harry's affair with an informant, hiding that the woman was Dexter's own mother, Laura. Meanwhile, Dexter and Miguel's hidden war on criminals rolls on, Miguel's fury zeroing in on slick defense attorney Ellen Wolf. While attorney Ellen Wolf digs into Detective Miguel Prado's shady record, Miguel urges Dexter to kill her. Dexter refuses, alarmed by the invitation. After a hollow apology, Miguel persuades Dexter to let him stand best man at the wedding, then begs to learn the art of murder. Reluctantly, Dexter teaches Harry's code: choose the guilty, leave no trace. Drunk on power, Miguel strays, slays Ellen himself, and dumps her in a public grave. Dexter learns Miguel has manipulated him from day one for murderous gain, turning brothers into enemies. Miguel seduces Lagerta to sabotage Dexter. Dexter retaliates by outing the affair and compiling proof. Miguel counters by vowing to wreck Deborah's career and the Skinner case. Each decides only the other's death will end it. While Lagerta secretly feeds Dexter DNA to confirm Miguel killed Ellen. Miguel plots to silence Lua, but Dexter drags him to a hidden kill room in Ellen's house. As Miguel begs, Dexter reminds him he already murdered both their brothers, then strangles him and frames the Skinner. Yet Miguel had tipped George King that only Dexter knows where Freebo is, so King seizes Dexter, straps him down and starts slicing. Dexter coolly confesses he killed Freebo ages ago, slips free, and kills King. With every threat erased, Dexter walks into the night breathing pure, unchallenged freedom. Dexter juggles a newborn, a suspicious Rita, and clandestine killings in his old apartment. Rita's kiss from neighbor Elliot and Dexter's shrug ignite her fear he feels nothing, while across Miami the Trinity killer's return pulls legendary agent Frank Lundy back into the hunt. For 30 years, the Trinity killer has claimed 3 lives a year in cities across America, and veteran Lundy burns to end the spree. Rookie Quinn teams with journalist Christine to chase the monster while inside Miami Metro. Batista and Lagerta dive into a covert affair, then defy Captain Matthews by racing to the altar before he can split them. And Deborah quietly digs into her dead father, Harry's secret lover, Laura Moser, never suspecting she is also Dexter's mother. Disgusted to learn Harry bedded his informants, Deborah abandons her research, clings to Anton, then rekindles with Lundy until a phantom gunman murders him and leaves her dying. Dexter cradles his shattered sister, deciphers Lundy's notes, trails the Trinity killer to a suburban saint, teacher, deacon, charity carpenter, Arthur Mitchell, and, refusing to surrender him, slips on the alias Kyle Butler to infiltrate the monster. Arthur and Dexter bond. Arthur's childhood accident killed his sister, triggering mother's suicide and father's beatings until Arthur murdered him, so every Trinity kill reenacts that chain. Baxter sees Arthur beating his own family, lunges, bares his dark passenger, vows to slaughter Trinity before wife and kids, but they swarm, and Dexter flees, terrified he will become Arthur. Masuka proves Christine is Trinity's daughter, so Christine confesses to Quinn and Lundy's murder, begging Arthur for rescue. He spurns her, she chooses death, and Deb, case closed, reopens Harry's files, learning Harry slept with Laura Moser, Dexter's mother, making Dexter the eye-struck killer's blood brother. Dexter panics that Deb will learn he is a killer, yet she only blames Brian for manipulating her and hugs her brother, while cops ID Arthur Mitchell as the Trinity killer. Dexter sprints to slay him first, discovering Arthur snatches a boy to reboot his 4-murder cycle, each buried beneath charity houses, each echoing his own shattered childhood. Dexter rescues the child, ends Arthur's life, and swears this is the last blood his dark passenger will ever demand. Certain love for his family has conquered the need, but as he walks back into his home, Dexter comes home dreaming of reunion, finds Rita murdered by Arthur, baby Harrison soaked in her blood, replaying Dexter's own childhood trauma. Season 5 opens with Dexter, numb, blaming himself, neighbor Elliot, grieving hard, while Dexter stays cold, making Quinn curious. The detective learns Elliot kissed Rita. Suspects Dexter. Deborah consoles her brother, falls for Quinn. Grief detonates when Dexter beats a heckler to death, proving that, though emotions twist inside him, he did love Rita. Dexter, shattered by Rita's death, raises baby Harrison alone while sending her other kids to their grandparents. Haunted Quinn ignores Luerta's orders, digs into Dexter's past, unearths the Kyle Butler alias tied to Trinity, races to the protected Mitchell family, only to be blocked by the FBI and suspended by a furious Luerta as Dexter juggles grief, fatherhood, badge, and blade. Dexter stalks barrel dumping. Fowler through swamp thick with dead women, slips inside his house and ends him, then frees, trembling. "Lumen from the attic," she whispers. Boyd was merely one link in a chain of predators still hunting. Dexter balks at her plea for justice until she charges off alone, forcing him to join her lethal hunt. Across town, Deborah hunts murderous bank-robbing brothers Carlos and Marco Fuentes. A raid explodes into... After civilians die in crossfire, the brass pins the fiasco on Deborah, turning her into the city's scapegoat, while she silently justifies the first on-duty kill, Carlos Fuentes, feeling the same dark righteousness Dexter taught her. Batista risks everything, hugging her in the storm and later cold-cocking a smirking officer who insults Luerta, triggering investigator Jim McCourt, whose probe corners Laguerta into betraying dirty narc Stan Liddy in a sting that costs Liddy his badge. Quinn and Liddy nurse matching grudges against Luerta, their whispered vendetta now simmering in the shadows. Quinn secretly hires Liddy to probe Dexter's link to Arthur Mitchell, while a truck full of dead women crashes, exposing the Barrel Girl gang and threatening to expose Lumen. Dexter frantically scrubs evidence, learns the truck traces to celebrity Jordan Chase and his guard, Cole Harmon. Cole, Lumen's rapist, so they stealthily murder him. Dump the corpse, never noticing. Yee is filming every move for Quinn. Just as Deborah closes in, Quinn loses Deborah after Quinn's probe into Dexter. Lai keeps digging, snatches Dexter, demands a confession. Dexter slashes free, kills Liddy, stashes the corpse. One drop of blood lands on Quinn's shoe. Cops find Liddy, trace the partnership, spot the blood, slap cuffs on Quinn, while Dexter and Lumen vanish into the night. Dexter and Lumen find Emily Birch, lone survivor of the Barrel Girl gang, who names Jordan Chase as leader and Alex Tilden as the last member. Dexter shows Lumen how to kill Alex. They make love, and she sees him as a hero, not a monster. While they plan to breach Chase's security, Chase uses Emily to bait Lumen, slits Emily's throat, abducts Lumen, and leaves Dexter only a blood trail to follow as Deborah keeps digging into the barrels. Dexter rescues Lumen. Together, they kill Jordan, nearly caught by Deborah, who, recalling her own dark act, silently lets them escape. Dexter fakes evidence to clear Quinn, urges Deb to love freely, then watches Lumen leave Miami. Healed, her vengeance complete, while he faces the dawn believing happiness might one day be his. A year after Rita's death, Dexter slips back into slicing killers while clocking in at Miami Metro. Newly promoted Captain Aguerte nurses a fresh divorce from Batista, whose sister Jamie now rocks baby Harrison, and Quinn, ready to wed Deborah, is blindsided by her preemptive no, drowning his shame in booze, and one night stands as the department hunts the Doomsday Killers, Professor James Geller and Travis Marshall, who are already staging apocalypse murders straight from Revelation. Geller, a fired professor claiming God chose him to trigger Revelation, drags uneasy, Travis on a murder spree. Each hesitation makes Geller preach harder. Dexter, hunting the doomsday killers, meets brother Sam, an ex-con turned minister who rebuilds broken lives. Cynicism melts into friendship as Sam's example haunts Dexter. When Harrison collapses and surgeons race the clock, the usually godless Dexter whispers his first prayer, begging the heavens to spare his son. Dexter bonds with Sam, confessing the darkness rooted in his mother's murder. When gang member Nick shoots Sam, Sam begs forgiveness yet dies, and Dexter avenges him by killing Nick. Haunted by breaking Sam's creed, Dexter now sees visions of dead brother Brian, urging total surrender to his killer nature. Dexter spares Travis, choosing Harry's code over vengeance. Travis walks away from Brian's ghost. A call girl dies. Police call it overdose, but Detective Deborah spots signs of an unseen witness, then learns Sergeant Matthews was present, watched the woman die, and ran to dodge scandal. Lieutenant Lua has long squeezed Matthews with that very secret, trading silence for promotion. Once Deborah exposes the truth, Lua forces Matthews to retire and orders Deborah to stay mute. While the leverage settles, Deborah starts therapy, finally voicing the violence she has absorbed on the job and the bitter jealousy she once felt toward Dexter. Deborah realizes she's in love with her adopted brother Dexter. At the same moment, Dexter corners Travis, who swears the vanished Geller forces him to kill. So Dexter frees Travis to tail him to the Prophet. Instead, Travis frees kidnapped Holly and flees Geller for sister Lisa. Holly runs to the cops, Lisa turns up murdered, and Dexter now needs Travis alive to hunt the true monsters still preaching doom. While hunting Professor Geller, Dexter finds the man's corpse frozen in Travis's freezer. Learning Travis killed him first and now hears the dead professor as his dark passenger. Yeah. Deborah, shattered by Dexter's confession that he honors their father Harry's code by only slaying killers, still tortures the church with him, erasing every trace of Travis's death. Moments later, Miami Metro sifts the ashes and Luerta discovers a forgotten blood slide that perfectly matches the Bay Harbor Butcher's secret set, a case long pinned on the dead detective James Dose, who had whispered his doubts about Dexter to her. So now, Luerta vows vengeance while Lewis, scorched by Dexter's betrayal, launches his own savage campaign to wreck the killer's life, forcing Dexter. Dexter destroys Lewis, exposes the cheater, gets him fired for stealing the eye-struck killer's prosthetic hand, then swears to Deb he'll stop killing when paroled monster Ray Speltzer slaughters again. Deb blocks Dexter, sees the system fail, and, shaken, accepts the grim comfort of Dexter finally putting Speltzer down, while Detective Mike Anderson stumbles on Victor Basco and a dead stripper. After Victor impulsively murders Anderson and bolts, Miami Metro mourns one of its own. Dexter covertly hunts Victor and delivers secret justice while the squad scours strip joint. The Foxhole, unaware it fronts the Casca Brotherhood Ukrainian syndicate. Crime boss Isaac Syro lands in Miami to find the missing killer, ignorant he is already shark food. Detective Quinn falls hard for stripper Nadia, and Foxhole manager George Novikov coerces her into turning Quinn into Brotherhood bloodhound, leading Isaac and George to the marina, where Dexter dumped. Lewis tries sabotaging Dexter's boat, but Isaac captures him, learns Dexter killed Victor, then kills Lewis, now hunting Dexter. Isaac slaughters a rival gang in Dexter's trap, yet is jailed. George forces Quinn to fake evidence freeing Isaac, keeps stripper Nadia hostage, pays Quinn 10 grand hush money and blackmails him for more. A broken Quinn hands the cash to restaurant Dreaming Batista. With Victor's case closed, Isaac refuses to let Dexter walk away. The Brotherhood, tired of Isaac's vendetta, unleashes a hitman. Cornering Dexter, Isaac confesses Victor was his secret lover, yet begs the killer he admires for help. Together they slaughter the hunters, but George storms in and mortally shoots Isaac. Quinn sulks as the team relocates to Vegas. Miami Metro exhumes Wayne Randall's trail, dragging Dexter to Hannah McKay, the killer's haunted ex who buried his secrets. Chemistry flares. She leads cops to Bones while Dexter senses fresher graves, her counselor, her husband, maybe Randall's own. O-Prime writer Sal Price arrives, files in hand, branding Hannah a Black Widow. Dexter frees Hannah, and they make love while he scrubs S's files. Yet Hannah has already fatally poisoned S. She then bears every past kill, blaming an abusive history. And Dexter, spellbound, vows love. Deborah snaps, demands. Dexter slay the poisoner. He chooses Hannah, so Deborah admits her own incestuous love and starts digging for proof that Hannah is a killer. Just as Deborah closes in on proof that Hannah is a killer, Hannah poisons her in a staged car crash. Dexter repays the murder attempt by slipping Deb evidence that sends Hannah to jail, only for Hannah to vanish after escaping custody. Meanwhile, Lagerta drags the retired Matthews into reopening the Bay Harbor butcher case, promising to restore his badge. Yet, when her hunt zeroes in on Dexter alone, Matthews tips him off. Lagerta springs Estrada to bait Dexter, storms in with squad lights blazing. Yet the killer ghosts through her fingers. Seconds later, he flips the script, planting proof that the captain has framed him as the Bay Harbor butcher, turning the entire department against her. Humiliated but unbroken, Lagertha vows to drag Dexter and Deborah down with her. Cornered, Dexter sets a lethal snare for the relentless detective, only to have Deborah arrive, beg him to face justice, then, her own conscience fracturing, fire the fatal shot herself. Sealing, Dexter soothes his shattered sister, yet both stare into the abyss after murdering their innocent friend. Months later, Louis' ghost still slices between them. Deborah flees her badge and her brother, drowning in regret over Lagerta's blood, while Batista shoulders the lieutenant's shield. Miami Metro now hunts the brain surgeon who carves souvenirs from skulls, and Chief Matthews summons famed psychopath whisperer, Dr. Evelyn Vogel, whose first whisper to Dexter spills a secret decades old. Long before Harry begged her to tame Dexter's bloodlust, child psychiatrist Vogel secretly authored the kill, only the guilty code Harry passed to his son. After police parade a fake brain surgeon, Vogel whispers to Dexter, the real butcher, one of her ex-patients, is still carving, and she needs her star pupil to finish what she started. While Quinn hides Deb's booze and pills spiral, Dexter begs Vogel to salvage his shattered sister. And in therapy, Deb unearths the final shard. Deborah tries to drown her brother, then rescues him. Brain surgeon kidnapper A.J. Yates, ex-patient of Vogel, snatches the psychiatrist, so Dexter and Deborah unite. Dexter slays Yates and claims them as family forever. Meanwhile, Musuka meets sperm donor daughter Nikki, the topless waitress, hires her as lab assistant just as the squad probes made Norma Rivera's murder. She bedded tycoon Ed Hamilton, and his son Zach was spotted at the scene. Norma is murdered, while Quinn and Dexter probe Zach. Matthews blocks them because the Hamilton clan bankrolls Miami Metro. Zach admits the kill to Vogel, who, instead of calling police, plans to teach him Harry's code. Learning Zack wants to rid his hurting mother of her cheating father and mistresses, Dexter vows to mentor the boy in moral murder. Simultaneously, fugitive Hannah slips back into Miami as Mrs. Miles Kastner, her new ultra-rich protector powerful enough to erase her past. After Miles begs Dexter to end him, Dexter refuses. Yet when Miles learns Hannah has spoken to her ex, he savages her. So Hannah kills him in self-defense, and Dexter helps dump the corpse before asking her to remain in Miami. Deborah tips. Zack swears he never murdered Cassie. Instead, he executed a predator who killed 2 girls, passing Dexter's code, so together they sink that body in the Gulf. Hours later, Dexter finds Zack on a table, skull sawn open by the brain surgeon. The mentor's dream shattered before it began. DNA at the scene points to Vogel. Dexter shows Vogel footage of Daniel murdering Zack, so she abandons her son. Daniel retaliates by killing her, driving Dexter to stalk him as his last kill before escaping to Argentina with Hannah and Harrison. Dexter leaves Daniel bound, begging Deborah to cuff him. Marshal Clayton, tailing Deborah, frees the wrong man, and Daniel kills Clayton, shoots Deborah, vanishes. Quinn reaches her gurney, love declared. Kenna. Harrison, grounded by hurricane, races to ICU where Deborah forgives him. Daniel storms the hospital to confront Dexter, but Batista cuffs him. Deborah crashes into a stroke that traps her in a permanent vegetative state. Dexter visits the locked-up brother, baits him with a pin, turns the lunge into a fatal self-defense kill, and Quinn with Batista look away for Deborah's sake. With the airport gate open, Hannah and little Harrison board the Argentina flight while Dexter stays behind, pulls the plug on his sister, and carries her body into the storm he chooses to ride out alone. After he drops his sister's body into the sea, Dexter steers his boat into a hurricane to die for his crimes. The world thinks he drowned, but he slips away, reinvents himself as Jim Lindsay, a quiet Oregon lumberjack in exile. 10 years later, in Iron Lake, New York, the same man now sells bait and rifles, dates police chief Angela Bishop, hunts deer to leash his darkness, and battles waking visions of Deborah, the relentless ghost of his final victim, while the next chapter of his blood-soaked saga waits in the snow. Dexter's old hunger surges when a cocky kid named Matt wants a rifle. A quick check reveals Matt caused a fatal boating mess. So Dexter builds a plastic kill room, silences Matt, and hears the dying boy vow his father will come. Sheriff Angela launches a search. Dexter cheerfully helps while torching every trace. Then Matt's dad, Kurt, suddenly claims father and son FaceTimed and the boy is just partying in New York. A lie that makes Dexter's pulse spike because beneath his grief, Kurt hides a ski-mask lust for murder. Kurt imprisons desperate young women in a bunker, films their terror, then frees them only to gun them down as they flee. When the manhunt for his missing son Matt threatens to expose the graves, Kurt cancels the search. Into Iron Lakes rolls true crime podcaster Molly Park, chasing Matt's trail and the growing list of vanished women, while teenage Harrison Morgan arrives hunting the father he barely knows. Dexter, who fears that reunion will poison the boy's life after Hannah's death from cancer. After years in foster care, Harrison finds the father everyone thinks is dead. Dexter lets the boy stay, but hides his own murderous dark passenger. When both boys stab each other at school, Harrison claims he stopped a would-be killer, yet Dexter fears the rage sprang from Harrison instead. Classmates crown Harrison hero. He dates Audrey, then overdoses on fentanyl-laced pills and whispers that Dexter Morgan is only an alias. Harrison takes a job with Kurt, who mentors the boy into violent outbursts, while Dexter watches in dread. Across town, Angela and Molly, sniffing Kurt's lie about Matt, head to a police conference where Angel Batista fondly remembers Dexter and Deborah Morgan. The slip letting Angela see her lover Jim Lindsay is the supposedly dead fugitive. Confronted, Dexter confesses that Rita and Deborah's deaths forced him to vanish. But the revelation shatters Angela. Trailing Molly on what he thinks is a probe into his own past, Dexter watches Kurt lure her toward his bunker. Dexter barges in, rescues Molly, derails Kurt. Angela's recovery of her vanished friend Iris sends her back to Dexter. He dusts off old forensics, ties Kurt's DNA to the body. Arrest. Under lights, Kurt spins a tale pinning the murder on his dead father, walks free, then whispers to Dexter he knows about Matt. Dexter decides Kurt dies first. In retaliation, Kurt boots Harrison into the trees, rifle rising. Dexter bursts in, saves Harrison from Kurt's ritual, then finally tells his son everything about the dark passenger and Harry's code. Reunited, they search Kurt's bunker, find Molly's corpse among the trophies, trap Kurt, and Dexter kills him while Harrison watches. Ye allegate. Ye allegate. One all-aware Kurt's posthumous letter to Angela swears Dexter murdered Matt, so Dexter murdered Matt. So Dexter decides Iron Lake is too wholesome for their legacy and starts planning a move. Just as Dexter and Harrison near freedom, Angela arrives to arrest Dex for Matt's murder. Dexter insists Kurt slaughtered his own boy and begs her to search the bunker. Torn, she phones Batista, who reveals Lagerta always believed Dexter was the Bay Harbor butcher, and now that Dex faked his death, Batista races north with every file she kept. Angela descends into Kurt's secret lair and finds the corpses he hoarded. As Dexter prepares to flee Iron Lakes with his son, Harrison confronts him over the innocent cop's murder and the lie of Ari's code, blaming him for Rita and Deb's deaths. Dexter accepts the truth. Harrison fires the fatal shot. Angela lets the boy escape by faking self-defense.